Okay, yeah, I'm going to do a little presentation here about the American Express BlueBird card with the gold bar on one side. At a landscaping view, it would look like the gold bar right here. Okay, and it has that gold, that Freddie Prinze Chico stick, the Chico on the Man ethnic background Chico stick, the gold thing, and the McDonald's golden arches thing. This BlueBird card, let me get a little bit closer with this right here. You might be able to see the bird. It's like the wings are two different colors, green and blue. And thing about it, it almost reminds me of a song by Sammy Hagar, Green and Blue, the color of the sea, and an Austin Powers movie, and a coupon of LASIK laser corrective eye surgery on the west side of Houston, and something about Dallas, Texas, and Faces International. Yet in the movie Austin Powers, the similarities of identical identity, if my memory serves me correctly, there's a person in a wheelbarrow for a few seconds, and both of them had the identical similarities of, virtual perfection of identical identity, except one has green eyes, one has blue eyes. If I'm not mistaken, the one in the wheelbarrows is the green eyes, okay, in the Austin Powers movie. And I went back actually trying to look for it, and it's presenting those issues of access, yeah. I'm assuming that's an automatic foreknowledge of performance monitoring, Wi-Fi managers, webmasters, network administrators, and the thing with this is that, okay, hold on here, once again. Okay. This is, once again, LASIK laser corrective eye surgery on the west side of Houston. Okay. And she is, the white hair and blue eyes, okay. She's identified on the LASIK laser corrective eye surgery, which is on the west side of Houston, at a location that was obviously something that had maintained my attention in a way after really a Stargate program. Okay, the thing with this is that the one particular location is like a fairly good size. I don't think I'd really call it commercial, although maybe possibly so. Of office buildings, as true as it gets. The thing with this is that I was taking that building to LASIK laser corrective eye surgery during the Stargate program, okay, and Abraham Lincoln Night Vision Shutter Government Stargate program. And at that time, okay, it was like some really intense stuff, and I'd refer to like a bunch of air raids going on while I was going through a circuit that at the time I didn't even consider a Stargate program, or anything beyond what would seem to be something beyond the idea of a normal circuit, which is really normally not normal anyway, but a circuit in any case. The thing with this is I was going to the Art Institute of Houston for music video business, and previously, like right before, the Center for Advanced Legal Studies, studying to be a paralegal. In any case, the Art Institute of Houston is like Yorktown, and right next to the Marathon Oil Tower of Power with like Data Foundry up in there. And the thing with this is that that's on the corner of like San Felipe and Yorktown. And they were like side by side, okay? And the thing with this is that years later, that was like back in 1989 and 1990. Yeah, so like there was a period from that time between 1989 and 90 that seemed to have almost significance in my mind, that seemed to be one of the factors of in 1990 is when AT&T actually took over Southwestern Bell, and the beginning of what had been identified as Southwestern Bell. All the blue public phones were starting to be removed, but 1990 is like when that was going to happen. and all the blue public phones of Southwestern Bell were starting to be removed around the entire Houston area, and I'm thinking the entire state, if not the entire continent. The thing with it is that all this had led to like a bunch of information. Ultimately, 25, 30 years later, okay, I'm referring to some intense parts like of 1994, 1995, and 96, maybe a little bit of 1997, but really, truthfully, I'm referring to some intense parts about some of the air raids that were going on while I was asleep, going through the circuit, okay? And a particular location, okay, Robert E. Rubin, okay, was getting more television time than any United States secretary I had ever seen to this very day on television, world news, national news, and local news. I mean, Robert E. Rubin was so on television so very much. I mean, it's like unreal, some of the information I was actually looking at, and referring to the 12 Federal Reserve Banks as not really comparison, but the similarities of the 12 tribes of Israel. And is the thing about, the name E. Reuben in the King James Version Bible, one of the 12 tribes of Israel being the tribe of Reuben, okay, and the tribe of scribes, okay. Although Robert E. Reuben, the United States Secretary of Treasury, is the alphabet's 147, okay, but ultimately it's getting to a practical application of like Vantage Love 30, or the 100 Club. 30, the number 30 spelled out is THIRTY, the alphabet's of 100, okay. The Advantage Love 30 presents the secret de facto 30, and there's some similarities between Robert E. Rubin representing the name of like the current event, the current fair, as compared to the history normally identified as the U.S. dollar, as history is the method of banking. Yet a lot of people normally don't automatically identify it like grandfathered corporate law of retroactive presidential administration as some idea of access as a dimensional clause of direct circuitry, including the television, not limited to the BlueBird bus. Ultimately, my thing that actually was taking place is that memory had been such an issue because of the intensity of the air raids while I was asleep. I mean, for like what seemed to be like an entire 1 year period. I mean, it's like seriously, like non-stop, day and night, at certain points on a consistent basis, and being taken to different locations, and being air raided while I'm asleep, and not even knowing, like how I got to the next place I'd got to at certain locations. It was like, an extremely intense. I don't like saying traumatic, but in any case, it seemed to be the thing about certain factors about it. Ultimately, being placed on an Airbus as compared to the BlueBird bus, okay? The American Express BlueBird card, okay? And there's something that seems to have the significance of an Austin Powers movie that seems to, you've heard it before, I Can't Believe It's Butter. But, that's really about the HTTP : / as compared to the ratio : / And the thing about the Blue Bonnet Imperial Eagle and Austin Powers, and the thing with it is that there's a movie of the similarities of this person and, LASIK laser corrective eye surgery. And if I'm not mistaken, Faces International of Dallas, Texas. In any case, she's the one that has like a similarity in the movie of Austin Powers, but in my mind, it's like, she's that anyway, with the blue eyes that this one particular person, and her eyes are the blue eyes and the white hair thing. But in the Austin Powers movie, the thing with it is that, like in my mind, okay, is that a wheelbarrow is alphabetically like 109 and automatically like Los Angeles, okay, or Governor Written, the word written, or the writ 10, TEN being like 39, Angel, or even OPEC, or like Wyatt, the ERP, the exclusionary rule provision, of executive powers, sovereign immunities, and governmental amnesties. This one particular person has been like, my thought of like, in the mailbox as a current resident and a coupon of like LASIK laser corrective eye surgery, okay? And all the lasers that you're seeing on me now, I've been looking at this one particular person in this picture for, since probably 83, really, if my memory serves me correctly. But, it ultimately gets to that year anyway. Maybe before. I have to actually think about it, but kind of like goes back to almost to like, a picture's a picture thing, and certain things about Pearland and what it led, as a point of origin because of a laser externally outside that ultimately led to like a point of origin leading to the first number of the prefix of the White House, which is 4, 5, and 6, which combined, added together is like 15. And the thing about this, let me get this right here, is that this American Express BlueBird card, okay, I'm trying to get a good view of it, right? I don't know if it's going to maintain but it's American Express, okay? Okay, and the thing with this is that the bird has like blue and green wings, but really, it seems to be, like the one of the wheelbarrow and the coupon, that picture I'm just now like showing is like the wheelbarrow with 2 S's. It's almost like the misappropriation allocation of the Mississippi, identifying, the big smile of the river as an electronic schematic symbol as a triangle, yet the pyramid and the US dollar and a pi squared factor of like one triangle being 2 triangles and the Star of David in Israel, ultimately getting to the bird of Israel being a blue and purple bird, but it is 2 colors. And the point of, likewise, this bird on this card, it is 2 colors, and the practical application of the bird as compared to the BlueBird bus, the Airbus H-160 is like identified as a military, a presidential, and a private like helicopter, and it's like there's like a blue and a white one, okay, and the white one's kind of like the colors of a holy seagull, the black and white thing like the space shuttle, okay. And the thing with it is that it still presents the colors of like AT&T, which is the acronym of alphanumerics of 41 being like USA, and ATT is some idea of some combine with the alphanumeric value of like Pearland, Texas, attenuation, holy miracles, and alphanumerics itself and attenuation seem to be the color coded thing about 2 colors, and whether or not if a common denominator would be the only idea applied with like a pastel colors. Seemingly the pluribus, the UN of like Los Angeles, and the UM of like University of Miami, and the dolphins thing about the eccentric triangle, on the Atlantic side is a Bermuda Triangle, but yet the Bermuda grass on a golf course, yet the eccentric triangles of like plain horizons of international financial management, of importing and exporting, and like a 200-mile or protected water around the United States. But anyway, back to the idea of the movie Austin Powers, and the similarities of identical identity is that this one particular person is like with green eyes. Okay, she's right here in like blue eyes, as you can see. Okay, and the thing of it is that the one in the wheelbarrow, if my memory serves me correctly, is the green eyes. The thing about the wheelbarrow is 109, and a misappropriation allocation of Mississippi, it presents the ISS and the SSI like an international superstar and supplemental security income. And I don't know if I'll include the PPI and the PPO and the HMO, but hopefully it gets to the euro dollar right back to the US dollar, of the euro dollar, and some electronic engineering, like schematic symbols that are representative of the European standard, yet 240 volts. Yet the acronym IEEE being 24, like HOA, Homeowners Association, GMAC of promissory notes is 24, and the IEE of the International Electronic Engineering as 24, yet it's known as the International Electronic Engineering Organization, and the IEEO becomes from 24 to 39, and has the alphanumeric 39 like an angel, or ERP, ERP, Wyatt Earp. The thing about, in between litigation de facto original habeas corpus, between like Wyatt Earp and John Wayne, there's like True Grit and the Writ, True being like 64. I'll have to think about it real quick. 2038. Yeah, 64. Like True Grit, like ACTP and American and Israel. John Wayne and True Grit is the thing about the writ, and the thing about a writ of habeas corpus, litigation de facto original habeas corpus between Wyatt Earp and John Wayne, yet information including like Calamity Jane and like the river and the climbing the river, getting to, the fish swimming upstream. And the thing about the latter, ultimately the Statue of Liberty and Pearl. And the thing of it is that, and even Pearl Drum, like my Pearl Drum Vision VSX in the Strata Blue. I'm getting the Strata Blue now, but what you're seeing, okay, I think I said Strata Red. The one that I'm on now on my channel, WadeASVPriddy, PRDDY, is a Pearl Vision VSX in a Strata Red with the black hardware, but it's a total of like 35 pieces. And it seemed to be the exact thing about what seemed to matter about the memories, the memory minus de facto being 35. The exact number of pieces with my drum set. Everything. Hardware, stands, special effects percussion, like an effects bell, a cowbell, a hi-hat tambourine, like a 3 rotor tom, 4 octavons, a double bass, totally 6 pieces plus a floor tom and a snare. A double bass is automatically, think about, 6, and in addition, it's going to be the idea of like a floor tom and a snare. So it's automatically like an 8 drum thing, but with like 7 more with 3 rotos and like 4 octavons, it's like 15 drums, okay? And with all my cymbals, which is Zildjian 8 custom, and I have the effects crash cymbals, they have like the slotted machine, rectangular but smooth and rounded on the ends, on the effects like cymbals, the 8 custom effects, EFX crash cymbals. In any case, yeah. So like I'm going to get the pasty color 7900 with the blue, with my Strata Blue. I'm trying to get all of it like and get it together. It's kind of finding it. It's being presented as not exactly the easiest to find. It's been identified, and I don't want to say discontinued because I know there's like the availability. Finding it and getting it like on like a the thing about a network and making a grade beyond like a local area network is really seemingly more the issue than anything right now. But like a Pearl Drum USA, like the Metroplex in Tennessee is kind of like need to kind of get a little bit of information with like distribution centers. Although they're referring to like certain issues in manufacturing of like Pearl rocket toms in like Taiwan right now, and I don't know if that's just the idea of Region 0, including Region 2 is Europe and the Euro dollar, but it ultimately is about like the backside of the US $1 bill. In any case, back to my point about this card, and let's just close your quick device surgery, is that the wheelbarrows, the similarities of this one particular person is automatically the coupon, and the 2 syllables, of coupon being like God's angel. Yeah. And the thing is that the Austin Powers movie, uh, the one person that I'm, really thinking about quite a bit. I keep out of my mailbox as a current resident. Um, a few seconds in a wheelbarrow has turned into the idea of like, the ISS and SSI as a misappropriation allocation of the Mississippi and like an international superstar and supplemental security income or superstar intelligence, or like the International Space Station, International Secret Service and supplemental security income, superstar intelligence of the ISS and SSI, and the back-to-back of like the HTTP : and the ratio : and the big smile to the river being, like an electronic schematic symbol of a triangle identifying the Delta Force. Yet everything that seemed to be going on, okay, this is the year 2025. My birth year is 1964, August 6, 1964. I'm 61 years of age, like right now. The thing is that certain things that had taken place that I was realizing that were factors of like the alphanumerics of 6. And I realized that the way things had happened actually were alphanumerics of 6, of alphanumeric equations, and very much of presidential thing. Although given the fact of a vice president network as a VPN being alphanumerics of 52 or heart or pearl. My drum set, pearl drum, okay, has a mounting system, the ISS mounting system. It's the integrated suspended system. I'll actually have to think about it. But it's ISS mounting system for Pearl Vision VSX. Anyway, still the acronym, okay? In any case, so like I was thinking about that. And, the Pearl being plural, 52 with the S being 19, being 71 in Pearland. And quite a bit about a lot of information. Well, anyway, this card, I was taken to like the location on the west side of Houston, LASIK laser corrective eye surgery. I didn't even know where I was at the time, but the building previously did not have like an engraved rectangle, a huge one, identifying it with the word plaza on it. Although plaza is the alphanumerics of 56, like drum, light, or the word why, WHY, in Latin LATIN, and other factors of 56. It had presented like even this neighborhood being County Road 107 without any other letter than like 107 A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And it seemed to be the thing about my street was originally just 107 C. In the beginning, it was like 107 C, like on my street that I'm on now, which is actually 3611 Mona Street and County Road 107, okay? But every, like, road in this neighborhood is like 107, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, but there's the factor of, like, just 107, the numerical value. But I think that actually allowed for, like, the G and the H to alternate, like an alternating circuit of an electrical circuit, yet presents the similarities of electronic between the International Electronic Engineering of like frequency representing what would be like the power of electricity as alternating circuit, yet the software side of electronics as like frequency and oscillation, yet two different values and very much given the same appearance of alternating circuit of electricity of the power side, like a power and a principle between electrical and electronic, and the frequency about measuring cycles per second in oscillation. It gives the same appearance. Doesn't have the same value or meaning. Like at all. But it has what looks the same. Okay, about it. And that's the thing about linguistic alphanumerics. Okay, but yet the word light, it presents the G and H like silence. And it presented that in this neighborhood, and normally the H, I don't think was like normally like on any street sign. Yet they're the one street numerically 107 was like this kind of road that I'm on like right now, but in the beginning it was like 107C, and pronunciation is like SE and 24. In between the ERISA statute and the IRA, the remaining on the ERISA, the acronym statute, is like the SE, yet yes in Spanish and Latin, yet vision in English and pronunciation, yet the SE being 24 is automatically vision. And, you know, there's supposed to be like the pi r squared factor of the E. There's supposed to be two E's. And it's a principle of like, you know, pi r squared, you know the formula works. And it's about using normally what's considered half, like the radius, to find the actual distance of the diameter. Okay, and the thing about the E equal MC squared in linguistic alphanumerics is kind of like more so based upon pronunciation, kind of separate from than a degree definition as intended use, yet in linguistic alphanumerics is quite a bit, seemingly more on just the pronunciation side. Doesn't really even have to include, I mean, not one definition in the dictionary about the word, I mean, at all. But over a period of years, it develops like a knowledge of repetition as where it's applied and geographically or academically or religiously or politically, or, you know, some linguistic alphanumerics that like identify geographics in the way of like algebra finding the unknown, using letters as variables is kind of like alphanumerics, but it's not. Although like X and Y axis is normally the thing about what looks like a 90 degree as a graph, yet the Z offset presents the isometric value like in machining, yet the Z is normally like the isometric side of only what would only look like, you know, a flat plane surface on like paper, but knowing that the Z is referred to a lot of times as an offset, not that it has to be, but it presents the isometric that way, like planar braille. It's clear to see. About like, you know, braille in the elevator, a little bit of humor about, you know, it's planar braille. It's clear to see, you know, a little bit about, you know, toilet paper and the canvas of like fine arts and humanities about, you know, the abstract, the satire, in a more presentable color arrangement like a pastel. And it is about pastel. A university of like fine arts and humanities is about, you know, texture and canvassing of artwork, you know, and it even gets to the humor of like art link letter and, you know, relation and the difference between HTTP colon being an HTTP ratio double forward slash and the word relationship more so than, you know, some idea of like globalization of international financial management, including the toilet, and the difference between a porcelain, normally white porcelain, and the stainless steel, like the high-O silver of governmental structure. In any case, I was like really starting out with the BlueBird card here, but it seemed to be that the one thing about the wheelbarrows in the Austin Powers movie is that the wheelbarrow, being singular with not like wheels with an S and barrel with an S, but it has the principle of the SSI. And the one on the back side, you know, there's supposed to be two. But the wheelbarrow, there's one particular movie, and this one person, and the one, like the Awesome Power movie, although, you know, automatically I think that much anyway, about, you know, I have my flower, I have my power, I have a woman who knows. It's kind of almost like the Robert Plant song, a little bit of humor that could go to the JFK, Jackie Onassis thing, and television programming at the time, okay? I'm not going to get into it right now. But anyway, it just identifies factors of the Chevrolet Corvette and the telekinetic role of the pen going in that direction about what humor is and is not, about television programming, of available information of a duration, more so identifying the black and white and the transition into the pastels of Technicolor. It's kind of like the thing about JFK and Jackie Onassis. And involving the Dolphin, it seems to be the thing on the Atlantic side of WIA International, is the thing about the Alphamex 181, Houston, Texas Electronic Power and Selective Servicing, like Pearland, Texas, USA, Attenuation USA, Alphamex USA, Holy Miracles USA, Purple Heart USA. I mean, it goes on and on. About 140, or FBI Psychology, minus 22, including Japanese thing about 22 alphabetical letters of the Japanese alphabet is 22, according to the information being provided. In any case, that's me acknowledging, according to the information that's available, that the Japanese alphabet has 22 letters, although RCA and FDIC seem to be the thing about, even factors of 22 being like a pi r squared, and the 44 thing. Ultimately, the connectivity, it seemed to be the word hidden, and wooden, of a wooden buffalo nickel. It's almost like hidden, like a 90 degree of reading English from left to right, yet reading Japanese from top to bottom. It's kind of like all the information is available, and if including the accusation being the Alphamex of 140 in Pearland, Texas, or Accusation USA being Alphamex 181 Houston, Texas, Electronic Power, WIA International, and Selective Service. The thing about WIA International, that is Warner, Electra, and Atlantic. On the Atlantic side, okay, the Miami Dolphins, the Dolphin, my friend Flick, the television programming, I think, went through the transition from like black and white into the pastel colors of Technicolor, into the color. I think that's one of them, but I know it's like the thing, at least getting to the Technicolor of pastel colors. In any case, it was like during the JFK Jackie Onassis thing, and the thing between like my friend Flicka and the thing about the Dolphin, okay, and lastly, okay, the thing about internet protocol, being the idea of like a colleague, internet protocol, the colleague is normally referred to sometime, not really limited to, maybe a little bit more than associates, but I think where it really seems to have significance is the interscholastic, the thing about a conductor and a semiconductor of a symphonic orchestration, yet a double bass drummer that does like twirling drumsticks. It's like a V twin with two fingers and like in a figure eight shape. Ultimately, I call it V twin figure eight. Is how I twirl my drumsticks. I mean, I do that like as much as possible, just to practice, even going through the motion with just my sticks, just to do it, because I mean, I just do it anyway. But anyway, yeah, so like I do that for every reason a drummer would do it, okay? Anyway, so like that's my thing about it, is that a conductor and a semiconductor, as compared to a thermocouple semiconductor, and like drumsticks and the scholastic, the elastic, the scholastic, and the Z71 thing about the elastic, and the thing about a bicentennial drummer. In any case, so like I'm starting to like very often in a different direction, but my point, let me get back here on track here, is that this American BlueBird card, okay, it has like a 4-digit security code on the front, and automatically in my mind it's like an MP4 format, okay, and on the back side it has a 3-digit security card. You can see that it's a 15-digit number, okay, and it has the color of, yes, the ethnic background. It seemed to be, I mean, like Freddie Prinze on the television series Chico and the Man, Chico in the Bank, Chico in the Air, the Freddie Prinze Chico Stick, and you've probably seen something similar of a Chico Stick looking like a well-balanced issue of globalization referred to something of International Financial Management in like Reader's Digest, okay? Yes. And you probably have seen it of your own self, like of a Halo schematic, like while you're on it. Solar pumping, you know, like the Cisco Kids version of like toilet paper and networking, having fair use of yourself as some intellectual duration before you know, have the royal flush, okay? But anyway, so like this card has 15 digits. It's like the prefix of the White House, 4, 5, and 6, which is, you know, combined is 15, which is really an experience of something like during my life of Mercedes-Benz coming through town and realizing something, I mean, years later, I mean, 10, 15 years later, if not longer, that this one particular coupon was in my mailbox. Every time that Mercedes-Benz was coming through town, it's like a Rush song of moving pictures, yet the Camera Eye and Chase Manhattan, yet Steeplechase presents the idea of a cathedral and religious, and in a way of a religious issue. The word attenuation, okay, it's like the UA, U being 21 and A being 1 combines like 22. Attention. The absolute salute and the attention and the attenuation, the AU, the UA, it seemed to be the word of like the alphabetic's 140. Okay. Paraland sexes, okay. It seemed to be the word of color code of degrees of like digital signal processing, the principles of digital audio, and the Boolean chart ultimately gets to some symbolic symbols and combined with like what gives the impression of sequencing, characterization, and sets of 6 of audio. Yet the Boolean chart presents kind of like symbolic representation that like is like of the chart. The Boolean chart, it all gets to like the West Wing of the White House and the significance of like a PG-13, PG being like the alphabet of 23, yet the 23 English alphabet letters of Sigma, Alpha, Delta, Kappa, Phi are some of the highest levels of quantum and, you know, digital signal processing, a practical application between electronic power, including the integration, practical applications of like quantum and identifying factors between the E and the E and the structure of like quantum with a different design E as compared to the different design E in calculus and the backside of the US $1 bill and in combination with the euro dollar and that halo left side of the symbolic representation between the C and the PTIS on the backside of the US $1, you know, above the pyramid of Anuit Coptis, above the I to the upper right, and the C and the symbolic representation in the PTIS having an alphanumeric value of 64 or ACTP, yet the one word of Book of Thessalonians, once again, the one word in Book of Thessalonians being about re-entering heaven in the alphanumerics of 192, the one word in Thessalonians is like transfiguration, combined with Anuit Coptis, minus transfiguration is like 12. 12 being 87, you know, spelled out TWELVE being 87, alphanumerically being 87, 12 numerically, yet includes like region 1 and 2 of the Eurodollar, yet 12 normally what's identified like in football, although the football is like a spherical quadrant of the world globe as a quadrant, yet a football, yet a quarterback, yet the bicentennial quarter, and all this information like linking the White House and the West Wing to the Boolean chart and the significance of like even Michael Jackson's initials, MJ being 23, and Dr. Pepper having a 23 anniversary celebration and the 23 ingredients and Sigma Alpha Delta Kappa Phi of the highest levels of like digital audio, and the EPA, the acronym Electronic Power of America, being alphanumeric 41 like USA, and AT&T is the thing that I'm thinking about, like, including some factors, including going beyond the BlueBird bus of a circuit, and this card, the BlueBird card, it's American Express BlueBird, and the bird is blue and green. My thing about Austin Powers movie involving the wheelbarrow, even the Barrel of Fun in Astroworld, and then Astroworld turning into Six Flags and moving to San Antonio, identified as Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, in San Antonio, Texas. Yet the SA of San Antonio presented like a whole bunch of information of like Mercedes-Benz originating as like the smart car, being 71 like Pearland, or ultimately even, the thing about center point energy, and 1 cycle per second with a line of oscillation at a 90 degree, it presents like a circle with a dot in it, like a 7-point crown of the Statue of Liberty, and automatically from New York, automatically to Paris, France, has a euro dollar in that way. Or you might have seen it like on Saturday Night Live, the dunce cap, or the pylon, or the cone, representing, or a telepathic teepee of a Native American Indian, which is quite a bit, seemingly, of the Statue of Liberty. Although monetary domestic gross national product of aggregates is likewise a thing about a Native American Indian and a telepathic teepee. I mean, even all the way back to Christopher Columbus and Thanksgiving, and even the thing about the White House, acknowledging the thing about certain factors that give the impression of, exactly, the Christopher Columbus thing, and the Thanksgiving thing, and even the Native American Indian, yet presented almost giving the impression of, like, the accepted piece of the century at Plymouth Rock with like Lee Iacocca, and the thing about Christopher Columbus at Plymouth Rock, yet Dodge, Chrysler, Dodge, and Plymouth, Plymouth being like the biggest mouth of the river, yet the Delta Force is the biggest mouth, yet the triangle, yet Dodge, I think it's Charger that used the double / like HTTP : / on the Dodge Charger, having that significance of Lee Iacocca, and like the saints of the century at Plymouth Rock, like Christopher Columbus and Combine, or like Dodge being 35, and memory minus de facto, and the I in anatomy, EYE, and like NASA, and Austin Powers as like I-35, and human capital as like capital 1, yet human capital in the capital of Texas being Austin in 84, yet, almost like the Lone Star card of EBT and SNAP food benefits and Centennial Monument, and, some factors that ultimately get to, even remember the Alamo, although that is San Antonio, Texas. All this information about, Astroworld turning into Six Flags and then moving to San Antonio, referred to as Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and the EBT involving the SNAP food benefits of supplemental security income, Medicaid, the SNAP food benefits being Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and the Lone Star card, and the EBT being electronic benefits transfer. Is in my mind, the thing about San Antonio, ultimately getting to the Lexus LFSA, originating from Mercedes-Benz introducing the smart car, being 71 in Pearland, and Centerpoint is the thing about the smart meter, okay? Yet the euro dollar of like the accuracy on the halo left side of the symbolic representation in between the C and the PTIS, okay? And like some of the old scope, you've heard the phrase field scope and range of law, what would normally present maybe the idea of a plus sign as a 90 degree, 4 quadrants at like a 90 degree right angle as like a center point of a 90 degree, presenting the values of like a pi r squared, E = mc squared, and exponential quotients of powers of multiplication, yet Japanese reading top from bottom, yet auditing legal media from like my phone with my the camera eye, to the left side, like the eye on the back side of the left dollar bill, and like watching video from reading it from top to bottom, like Japanese, auditing legal media from top to bottom. Okay, based upon everything about what I'm talking about. Yet quantum, there's like 2 Japanese letters that I believe are the actual Japanese letters. If not, it's the automatic first thought, hey, that looks like Japanese. I mean, like, anyway. But it is the structure with the different design E. And it's only 2 of the letters that I saw at the time involving, the structure in quantum. Yet the different design E that has the structure of quantum, the Alphabet 107, the actual road, the county road that I'm on now, 3611 Mona Street, is county road 107. Previously county road 107C, now 107. It presents like the variable of algebra, yet not alphanumerics, yet alphanumerics in Pearland, Texas. The similarities of, a letter being given a numeric value, yet it's identified as a variable, not alphanumerics. Finding the unknown, the word unknown being 112 in Houston is like considerably, the whole entire point of algebra. Finding the unknown was like day one. The first, really the entire year, really. Yet the thing about, the algebraic test of inversion was not taught being applied to a variable, wasn't even discussed as applying the algebraic test to a variable, which is really alphanumerics with the accuracy of like A1 all the way to Z26. In chronological, repeatedly, the A to Z thing, going beyond 26 to like 27 to like 52, then 53 to 78, then 79 to 104 is automatically my 4th generation of like something biblical as a religious issue, even including, like Mount Rushmore. Or the thing about, Big Woman 44 and the Power Squared about Mount Rushmore. And a combine of like 44 and 22 of, Japanese and quantum issues between the difference between calculus and quantum, and all the stuff about the backside of the US $1 bill. Okay. Anyway, so like, let me get back to this. This is a 15-digit card, American Express BlueBird card. In my mind, automatically the color of like McDonald's Golden Arches, okay? And, the Mississippi River, the misappropriation allocation of the Mississippi, okay? And once again, let me get to it real quick. This blue and green thing is like automatically somehow in my mind, like Sammy Hagar saying that the green and blue the color of the sea. Yeah, it seems to be like automatically, something I'm looking at, and notice that in that movie, yet the person in the wheelbarrow with the green eyes, is green eyes. I'm almost for certain, my memory serves me correctly, that her eyes are green eyes, yet LASIK laser corrective eye surgery. Here, this person, is automatically, the thing here that I'm thinking about, and what's going on here? Yeah. Huh. In any case, yeah. In any case, yeah, so like, one in Wheelbarrow in the Austin Powers movie, it's like the flower power. And like a deal about Bloom Street, like Ellington, Alphameric's 108, or Operator, ultimately getting to 0. And the real thing about, ultimately getting to Springdale, Utah, and Zion National Park is like one word in the King James Version Bible, yet not the Book of Mormon, Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, yet it's the American word in the King James Version Bible, Zion. The 1,000 years of peace, and like a beginning of like, going beyond the method of banking, a normal thought method of banking of Grover Cleveland, and the US $1,000 with Grover Cleveland, and like Zion National Park, and like Springdale, Utah, and the area code like 435. It's almost like, the predictions of Nostradamus and the accuracy of 400 years narrated by Orson Welles. Yet, into the new millennium, it's like a combine of the accuracy of Nostradamus as Orson Welles' narration of like international financial management. Orson Welles, like it's almost, like the iron ore the ORE, and what appears to be pastel of night vision. There's something that's really not gravel. It's iron ore, but has been used like gravel, okay? The thing with this is that it's like the color of like a burnt orange of like University of Texas Longhorns, okay? Yet with night vision, measuring the density of luminance, it's like, you know, like infrared and infragreen is, yet the two colors of 13 magographic equalizer. Or, you know, what I'm thinking about with the iron ore and the burnt orange is like the amber waves of green. And, you know, like a Nelson song in my mind, like After the Rain song, something in my mind, even if Sydney, Australia, and the SID going through, you know, something like Harris, and like the SID being like Sydney, and the Japanese yen and Disney, in that way of SID, and also Sydney, Australia, and Japanese being like 71 in Pearland, and all that information. And the thing about AT&T and USA applied to like Pearland, Texas, being the Alphamex 181, Houston, Texas, Electronic Power, Wayne International of Warner, and Atlantic, of Wayne International. The thing with this is that wheelbarrow combined with like wheels being plural with the S, and barrel with the S is like the SSI, the ISS, and it has like almost like significance in the pi r squared factor kind of way, yet E equal MC squared, yet the colors of this bird, the thing about the Israeli bird is that it's blue and purple. It's called the whoopa. Okay, and here's the thing about, you know, the oldest governmental computer mainframe called the Whopper. Yeah, I mean, automatically, you know, you can think of like Burger King, and you know, it's the Whopper, okay? But the oldest governmental computer mainframe is the Whopper. Okay, and the thing about Burger King is it ultimately gets to the idea of the kingsmanship, yet the moat around a castle, normally of a kingsmanship, referred to in a way that's almost kind of in between, you know, the before, during, and after Christ thing, at a practical application of a dimensional clause of an intellectual duration of a kingsmanship. Yet a moat around a castle is like 200 miles around the United States of protected waters, of import and exporting. Normally the word tariff is normally, you know, normally automatically almost involved, you know, protected, normally U.S. patents, entering and leaving 200 miles of protected waters around the United States. How true that is of importing and exporting of U.S. patented products to other destinations other than the United States from the United States. I'm thinking tariff is included in that direction upon their destination from the United States to its destination to, you know, some other port as well. But the word seemed to be the tariff, about, you know, that. In any case, so like, this being a 15-digit letter, a 15-digit like number, on the backside of American Express BlueBird card, seemed to be the significance of like the Israeli blue and purple bird, the whoopa. The thing with this is that HOA, Homeowners Association, the acronym HOA, Homeowners Association, is the alphanumerics of 24 like GMAC, involving promissory notes. Yet the IEEE is likewise 24. The SE of like Southeast, or C as iPhone SE, in my mind automatically in between the ERISA statute and the IRA. The Apple iPhone SE seems to have the thing that has the connectivity of language and linguistic alphanumerics based upon pronunciation. Yet in Spanish it's like yes, the alphanumerics are 49, and pro or Lord, in pronunciation like English being C like vision presents automatically like 88. or visions, like with an S, is like 107. Military, Quantum, Diners Club, like the kind of road I'm on now. You had 3611 Munn Street, Pearland, Texas, 77584, and all that alphanumeric, linguistic, alphanumeric, symbolic, and analytical. Yet the 23 that I want to get to at the PG-13 seems to be the significance of, PG being 23. Yet the W of the West Wing and the Boolean chart, it seems to be where the W goes of 23 to the Boolean chart. It ultimately gets to the G of the B in venue. Almost like, it's like the Holy Ghost thing about the baptism. In my mind, it's like, Chevy Chase, being the host of like the presidential inaugural ball of William Jefferson Clinton, Al Gore, seems to be, like the one, to this day about, the significance of like Chase and alphanumerics of like subconsciousness minus Chase. Alphanumerics 181. We International, Houston, Texas Electronic Power and Selective Service. Him hosting that and referring to himself as the host, it's almost like all this going on in 1992 in a baptism and like a bunch of red rectangles on the United States map of restricted areas, and the initials of a restricted area being RNA 18 and 1 being 19, and the S, yet COVID 19, and like it seemed to be the thing about international financial management and the vice president network of methods of banking, beyond methods of banking, beyond the category of money, of human capital, and Austin Powers, and like, all that stuff about a star is born and a telepathic star is baptized and like born, a telepathic birth. And that's the significance in my mind of Chase and steeplechase, representing some idea of a religious factor. Him referring to himself as the host, it seemed to be the one presidential inaugural ball of the century with the cumulative rollover from 1992 to this day of like, now November, 2025. But Chevy Chase presented himself as the host, knowing something about steeplechase, that is a religious issue in the baptism, even like Wilkes Barre, Pennsylvania, involving supplemental security income and Social Security Administration, presents the bars, like a baptismal booth. Yet the information in education presents Wilkes in a different manner about a balcony. I'm not necessarily even really suggesting, other than knowing academically, going through the 12 public grades that is referred to. But my thing about the baptism is that the bar, GMC raising a bar, the commercial of GMC being 23, yet the I-beam, beyond domestic and monetary of neighborhoods, the gross national product of exponential quotients of powers of multiplication of pi r squared and E equal MC squared, but of quantum and the principles of digital audio, of digital signal processing and special effects, a practical application between medical technology, identifying chemistry, yet quantum